Lesson number 8 is do the right thing at the right time. We've talked about doing the right thing with the right spirit, but also now do the right thing at the right time. Talk about the value of what you called intentional acts of kindness.
I think it's important in the workplace to first off come into work with a great attitude, even if you hate your job. I've interviewed people who say, I hate my job. To which I ask them, then why are you here? Well, because I couldn't get anything else. Then you know what? You owe it to the person who did hire you to give them everything you have every single day with the right spirit, with the right attitude, with a great attitude. Otherwise, you're kind of cheating them out of what they hired you for. That's number one. And number two, when you do things with the right spirit at the right time, this makes everybody's day much better. You can be the best customer service person ever, but if you don't do it when there's customers around, it really doesn't count. I'm fond of saying when I do teaching, when I do training, I can teach and they can learn, but if we do it at the same time with the right spirit, then it makes it a pleasurable experience for everyone, and I love that. So for example, I was living in Maryland, and I was living in a townhouse. It was my first and only time ever living on a government military installation, so the government owned the property. And I was upstairs. It was about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and little Dolly, my dog, comes up the stairs, and she looks at me and she says, "Rah!" And I was like, "Are you hungry?" She shouldn't be hungry. We already had dinner. And she looks at me again and says, "Rah!" A little more insistent. And I'm like, maybe you have to go outside. And she, again, "Rah!" Little noise out of this little puppy. And I looked at her and I said, "Timmy's in the well? Okay, time to get up." So I got out of bed and walked down toward the stairs, and I realized why she was making noise. And her dog bed was floating in my living room because it was winter and my pipes had burst. And she took a flying leap off the third stair from the bottom. The dog bed, of course, skidded out from away from her. She's paddling around the living room. "Mom, you're the best mom ever. None of the other dogs have a pool on the inside of their house." I fling open the front door. Water, dog bed goes pouring out into the front yard. And I went into my kitchen, and sure enough, the pipe in my ceiling had burst. And my ceiling was now on my floor, all kinds of stuff everywhere, big mess. Well, it's government housing, so the local utilities didn't deal with it. The police, fire department, nobody local could deal with it. And everything that I needed to shut off my water valve was behind a locked door. Well, when I got on the phone with customer service, and I explained the problem, and there's water pouring into my house. It's 10 degrees outside. The dog is the only happy person in this whole scenario. And the woman says to me, well, what do you want me to do? I'm in Connecticut. And it's now 9 o'clock at night, and I don't know what the right response was, but at that moment I did not feel as though that was the right response. So doing the right thing at the right time is critically important as well. Now thankfully my neighbor who played football came over and kind of gave the door a good hard nudge and got through the locked door, and we were able to turn off the water. But I'm sure she was a great customer service rep, but she was unable to do anything at the right time. So sometimes we as managers and leaders have to look at a situation and say, what could have made that person's job a success that night? What could have precluded all this damage and all of the follow-on cleanup that was necessary after water was pouring into my house for about 2.5 hours because nobody could figure out the right way to turn it off, what to do until my neighbor sort of stepped in. So we as managers have to be on the lookout for these opportunities for our people to make sure that they're successful all the time.